Come and get started on a new mission, a new direction, a new intention. Welcome to 5.8G Alive at Connections 50 Plus. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite.
And I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, catering to all your prospects in the third act of life.
Economic well-being, social gratification, personal fulfillment.
Join us on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Connections 50 Plus Facebook page, YouTube channel,
and on Gael the Caribbean. Hello, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Good morning. Happy lunchtime. Welcome to 5.8 GLI. I am Terry-Ann Joseph Brathwaite, one of the co-creators of Connections 50 Plus, which brings you this program 5.8 GLI. With me as usual, my dear friend.
Hi, good evening and welcome. I am Jennifer Gibbons Joseph, the other co-creator of Connections 50 Plus. It's really nice having you all on board with us this evening.
Yes, Jennifer, this is Excitement Week. This is a carcass week. Southwest Peninsula. Listen, Connections people, thank you. It's sellout. When they say the party ram, it's jammed, not a seat left on the buses.
Wow. I mean, really, that support, Terry. You know what's funny? Still getting cold. At this stage. But it is beautiful. We're just looking forward. And next week, we'll be able to show you all some photos and tell you all about it.
It just says, next time we have an event, call early. Don't wait till last minute.
Yes, you must book early.
Yes. So, but we're really, really thankful. And we are looking forward to a wonderful trip. And we promise to those who didn't get on, we'll bring back nice pictures and videos. That's good compensation.
Yes.
Anyway, Jen, we are continuing with our discussion on self-formed people. And sometimes, Jennifer, people would think that self-formed means you've arrived. So we spoke to Joan Kilgore, we talked to Jillian Caesar, we talked to so many people. But sometimes your talent is there and it's bubbling and you are in the process of bringing it forth. Sometimes it would have manifested in so many different ways.
In different ways.
Yes, and at this stage in life, whether like me you're 61, like you are 71, you could be at the cusp of, all right, I can go forward with this. And Jennifer, I think our guest today represents that very, very well.
Definitely. Someone who would have very early knew their talent. They knew their talent and was always, doing something, right throughout to bring them that self-satisfaction, that happiness. And that, Terry-Ann, and I go back to when we spoke about, especially us at this stage. Even if some people always knew their talent and found their talent very early or their skills. Some of us find it late, but listen to me. This is the time to start exploring.
Yeah.
You don't sit back and say, I can't do this, I can't do that. We really go within and check ourselves and say what we like doing when we were younger.
Yeah.
What gave us that joy. And follow your passion. So I agree with you, with our guest this evening. Definitely is one who knew her skills, knew her talent, and followed it.
Yeah. And what I like about it too is that some people think that you have to, okay, Joan Kilgore is a professor, she's a writer. Jillian established her flower shop and so on. We are going to talk to somebody who is into craft, handmade, one of a kind, unique. It's not a big lash business, but it's still following passion. And we really hope that you enjoy this discussion with Clare Gumbs, a lady who makes dolls under the brand CHOONKS. So let's enjoy.
mentioned, we continue in our series, and we have with us other very talented, skilled, special guests. And we have here Mrs. Clare Gumbs. Now, Claire is not, I wouldn't say entrepreneur or self-made or, self-formed necessarily, I like to say. But Claire had a very, very interesting career leading up to where she is now, which is the founder of Clearly Creative. And Clearly Creative produces some really fabulous items called chunks. And I love the name chunks, So Claire, welcome to our show this evening. And as we start, I like to start by asking, of course, for you to tell us, a bit about yourself, because you're here to share the journey. Let us know your journey and where you are now and to that stage.
Okay. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be given the opportunity to share my story. I am Clare Gumbs, Mrs. Clare Gumbs, wife of Gerald Gumbs. I am 71 years young, 25 going on 71.
I'm proud of it. Yes.
And I feel that I have so much to share. I am a trained nurse by profession, retired now. I retired as a nurse administrator. I left Trinidad at 17 years to go to the United Kingdom to study nursing, and what an experience. While there, I met my husband, now 48 years married. I had my 2 children, and eventually we returned to Trinidad and Tobago because we are essentially Caribbean people and wanted to be here and have our Caribbean experiences in the latter part of our lives. In the UK, I excelled in nursing, and this is important in my whole journey because my first love was art. In school, I excelled in art. I got distinction in art. I was always commended on my work. As a matter of fact, I used to play truant from school, and school was convent in Port of Spain. And I used to hide away and go to the art gallery in Salvatore Building, look at the artwork of M.P. Aladdin and Bosco Holder and Palai Chang and these people. I was just mesmerized by what they did. They had a profound impact on me. And I just saw myself as producing fantastic pieces of artwork at the time. So I focused on that. My interest was not in the sciences and other areas. I focused on the languages and the arts. After my O-levels, I did not go into doing A-levels. I did graphic art at John Dee. My father wasn't too happy about that because he was from the old school who thought, what can you do with art, But I was very adamant about what I wanted to do. And he was very supportive altogether. He would leave Samoa, come down to Port of Spain and pick me up from school in John Dee. I was the only female in the class. So, he would come and pick me up after class and take me back home. I was apprenticed to a company on, I believe it was Henry Street now, I remember, doing screen printing, and that's where I sort of got my knowledge of, that aspect of artwork. And I went into my final year in John Dee, but because my father was not in a position to back me up financially to go to the US to hone my graphic art skills, he convinced me to take up nursing as a stepping stone to doing graphic art. So off I went to the UK, and I had all these dreams about, stepping out into the art world. However, where I was placed to do my training was in the beautiful English countryside of Slough, Windsor area, very green and lush and wonderful experience. But there wasn't any technical college, university close by where I could do part-time studies in my art. So the nursing took over. At one stage, I felt very down about it, and I thought, well, I'm not following my passion. And I wrote to my father and I said to him, this isn't working, I'm not feeling good about this, and of course I was homesick as well, and I said to him, send for me, I can't do this anymore, I gave it my good shot, but it's not working. He said, okay, I'll give you another 6 weeks. And if you still feel you want to come home, I'll try my best and get a ticket for you. You can come back home. During that time, I was called up to Matron's office. I felt that I was going to be pulled across the carpet because I had an altercation with a senior nurse who I felt was being unfair to me. And I thought I was going to be told off about that. Lo and behold, she informed me that I was awarded the first year nurses prize for excellent nursing. So that incident changed my trajectory to continue in the nursing. And I went on to do well in the nursing, excel in it. I was awarded a gold medal at the end of my final training. I was the valedictorian for our group of nurses, which was then Windsor group of nurses, Windsor group of nursing. And I did multiple, after that, I did multiple training in different fields of midwifery and psychiatry, occupational health. I worked in intensive care, other areas, family planning, education, and, other areas of nursing. And so when I returned home, I was all around. I was trained all around and went into Montauk Hospital, where I practiced midwifery for a period of 2 years. And the opportunity came for me to go on to the corporate side, which I took because I had the exposure to the occupational health training. So I was the company nurse for Canning's company for 6 years. And after that, to BWIA, our national airline, for 14 years. And those years were quite interesting and challenging experiences, enriching experiences. Following that, I left BWIA because I had some health challenges that came up, and I was given the opportunity to return on me getting well, but I declined and decided to focus on my creative side because I always felt that I had this itch that I had to scratch, and I wanted to focus more on doing creative things. Mind you, during my time in the UK, I dabbled in creative things, always leaning on the creative side whenever I got the opportunity. However, after I left BWIA, I focused on my creative side a bit more. I formed my company called Clearly Creative, and with my experience of doing handcrafted dolls for a number of years, which started all the way in the UK. I developed that and did a number of items that you know, became quite well received by customers and clients. And
sorry,
no.
I'm itching. Before you go on more in terms of getting into what's happening now, I am just itching, and I know Terry will be coming after. Two things came to mind. One, I would really like you. I know you said being very Caribbean and passionate about the Caribbean, that's your choice to come back, and you went into the corporate. But in terms of age, what age, when you decided that, okay, because of health challenges, you may have left BWI, but you didn't go back even when you offered the opportunity to go back. What age were you at when you made that decision? So, you know what? I am going to follow my passion, my creative side, continue following, because you always, as you mentioned before, even in the UK, you were doing dolls, right? Which I would really like to get a little story on that too.
I call them soft sculptures because people have this vision of dolls. So soft sculptures was what I call it.
Right. So, you know, so I'd like to hear the age that, what age that you made that decision to really go into your own, and at age to hear about when you're in the UK, for although you were doing in found time to, you know, to what you're passionate about.
Let me think. This was 2001. 2001. Yes, because when I left BWIA, what had happened? My workload was tremendous. I was training in flight crew and emergency procedures. I was heading a medical unit with 6 RNs in my team, and also supervising an employee assistance program in the airline. And we were all put to do management development training. And that sent me down the chute because I was getting about 2 hours sleep a night. And that did not augur well, a bit more. So that's why I did not return to the airline. I took the opportunity to leave them, even though offered, you know, that I could return.
Yeah.
So I decided to focus on my creative side. I never regretted that, because it brought a tremendous amount of fulfillment, that I could express my creativity in so many different ways, you know. In answer to your question, I was just about coming up to retirement age then when I decided to switch more into the creative side. But as I said, I had always done creative things alongside my career, always, in a big way, you know, a lot of different things.
Right. Claire, can I ask a question? How long did you remain in nursing in the UK?
10 and a half years.
Okay, all right, good. And then left after you graduated. You stayed in nursing for 10 years and then came back to Trinidad.
Yes, yes, you do your 3-year basic training, and then you have specialties, which I did. I did some specialties, and then at some point, my husband and I decided, you know, we wanted to return to the Caribbean.
How old were you when you came back to Trinidad?
How was it?
How old were you when you came back to Trinidad?
Oh my gosh. How old? Oh, I'm not good at math, you know, but
Oh, what year? Do you remember the year?
yes, 1981.
Okay, all right.
18 to 81.
Okay, all right. Okay, great. Nice. It's just got a sense of the timeline. So you came back in the 80s and
Yes.
spent some years in the government service, then CONEC,
Yes.
and then 20 years in the private sector. About how
That's
many years were you in the government service?
I only spent 2.5 years in the government service.
Okay. So 22 years as a practicing nurse in Trinidad and then out of it. All right. Good. Nice.
It was a different experience on the corporate side with the nursing. It's
Yeah.
occupational health and different demands and so yes.
All right. So you would have left nursing you would have stopped work in 1981.
Yes.
Okay.
In the hospital setting, but
Okay.
went into the corporate, the occupational health setting from
All
that
right. So
point.
you would have been 29, around 29 when you left the state setting, if I'm doing my math correctly, and then spent 20 years, 14 and 6 in the private sector.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you would have left the private sector at around retirement age.
Yes.
Okay.
Just about.
Nice. So, and then cut from nursing and went straight into your passion.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, continued more deeply into my passion because it was always there. And as I said, I always dabbled.
Yeah.
I always did things. For instance, when I was into BB, I got involved in designing and creating a carnival band or carnival characters, which were on the Savannah stage. I had a king on the carnival stage.
Which king was that?
Savannah. My king was La Pli Epi Tombe, the devil and his wife fighting for the hambone. You know how they say
I remember that costume. I remember that
Right.
costume. Yes,
That's
you
it.
designed that one?
Yes, and
Beautiful. I remember that costume. Yes.
I had my colleague in Canning's company, who was Teddy Eustace, who is still very prominent in the carnival scene. We were on the stage together, and I felt, ooh, well, I reached, I'm on the stage with Teddy Eustace, So that was it,
If I could ask, to be asked to do a king costume, and I remember that costume, Devil and his wife fighting for a bone. You had to have been doing a lot of design work and been involved in the arts in that period.
Not a lot. Not a lot. What happened when I went into John D to do my graphic art? As I said, I was the only female in the class, and in that class had some persons who eventually developed on our local carnival scene, like Neville Hines and other persons. The person who asked me to design his costume went to Neville Hines, and Neville Hines gave him a price that he could not afford, and he was telling me about it, and it's kind of an involved story, and I told him, ooh, so much a better designer costume for you, I made some money, which I didn't, but he went back to Neville Hines and told him that this person offered to do the costume for him, and she said she was in class with you, and he said, Clare Gumbs, that is the person you're gonna get to design your costume. Why are you coming to me? She was really good. Why are you coming to me? So that was the genesis of the intro to the, the pink costume, So they bypassed Neville Hines, and it's quite a long story, quite a story behind the production of that costume, which is quite funny actually. You'll need a whole evening show to listen to that one. But it was a fantastic experience. We had fun. I discovered what it meant, what they meant when they said mass jumbie,
Yeah.
what mass jumbie meant, because after not sleeping for about 3 nights straight and working on mass costumes, not that particular one, but another production that I did, another band for Carnival in Anguilla, where my husband is from. We did mass there for 3 years running, and not sleeping for 3 nights, literally, just probably an hour of sleep and going to work. I was so disoriented that I was falling asleep at the wheel, and I had to pull aside at Piaco Junction and slap myself across my face and sit there and wake up myself so that I could reach down to the main building at BWIA so that I could go to work, you know. And then I understood the meaning of mass jumbie. It's not mass jumbie. It's just disorientation, you know, out of exhaustion, you know. That's how I saw it anyway, you know.
I think that the thing that I like about that story is that it is very, very clear that notwithstanding the professional track you were on, whether you were studying nursing in the UK, sorry, or whether you were working in BW, whatever it is, to emerge into designing a Carnival King costume means that that artistic aspect of you and that creativity, you have to have been a frustrated nurse.
No. I enjoy the nursing. I enjoy the nursing, but my creativity knew no bounds, so that, you know how they say, my cup runneth over. My cup runneth over, running it over. You know how they say it in this funny way. And I just utilize my extra time into creative pursuits, you know, and I had the wonderful opportunity of working with lovely people, wonderful people. One that comes to mind, Mr. Geraldo Vera, who was one of our major carnival producers doing those fantastic
really
foldings.
traditional
That's right.
Costumes with a story and stuff.
That's right.
Oh, and I can see the segue into the dolls from that kind of experience, because they were into forming characters and faces and
holdings and you know, well, I came before him, so I take it to those. I came before him. The thing is, in designing the carnival band for Anguilla, I did my research and found out all the local fish that were in Anguilla, that the people in Anguilla were familiar with. And, you know, I spoke to him, and he did moldings that resembled those indigenous fish that Anguillans were familiar with. So we incorporated that into our presentation there. And it went on very well with the local people there, you know. I remember the evening that we were taking, because it was a kind of what we did, a government exchange arrangement that we had. And when the boxes or the crates with the fish that was seen to be swimming in water with all the nylon and so under them, and the security pulled open the crates, he said, "Whoa, somebody put Buko Reef in a box," you know. And you know, that was the kind of reaction that we had. He said, so I was standing there, and he said, who does this crate belong to? And I said, that's my work. He said, Nursey, you can do this, you know. And I dabbled in different creative things within the airline, on family days, and when they did rallies for the staff and so. And I remember after spearheading our department and other departments setups for the employee rally, because at that time, you know, BWIA was on a price war, with other airlines and so on. They wanted to stimulate staff and, you know, raise morale and all of that. So we had a rally, and what I did impressed the top brass in BWI. So we had an event in Crown Plaza, which is now Radisson Hotel. And I was lifted onto chairs by two burly men because Mr. Aliong at the time, they said, who did this, the whole presentation on stage I had designed and choreographed and gotten our building department and so to make it, and brought in, that is when Tree Canal came out with Talk Your Talk, and we had Jumbo, who used to be flinging peanuts in the stands, and you know, the whole scenario, and the Midnight Robber Talk Your Talk thing. So it was all departments required to present their annual report, but it was through that concept of talk your talk, and we had it interjected with different things. And I had them build a major goalpost, put it up on the stage, and all the commentators were in football shorts and t-shirts, and even up to Mr. Aliong had on his t-shirt. All the departments had different colors, and I had designed the whole thing. And at the end of it, one of the persons who is now our communications director at BWIA, Ligor, she had a whistle blowing, and he said, well, who is responsible for this? And she blew the whistle, and she said, you would not believe someone who doesn't give injections. They think she gives injections, but she doesn't give injections. This is what she does. No other than Nurse Clare Gumbs. And he said, bring her out. And these two big guys who worked in our workshops on the compound, they came towards me because I was kind of shrinking in my seat. I didn't want to be center of attention. And they lifted me up under my armpits and put me to stand up on these chairs in the hall in Crown Plaza. And I got a standing ovation, you know. So, you know, that's just one of the stories. I have many stories of my creativity interjecting into my work, even in the UK, you know, where I did creative things alongside my nursing. And so it made the experience, you know, quite enjoyable and varied, you know. There was, I remember in the UK, there was an event where we had an evening, it was Christmas time, and we had this event where the nurses would come together for Christmas dinner and so, and however it evolved, but I ended up decorating this place, which was like a mini manor, you know, these old English manor houses. This is where we lived. It was absolutely beautiful. Had these massive fireplaces, and I decorated it, and it had this grand piano in the hallway and all of that. And I went down to the shop in the nearby village, and I got these tubes that the cardboard tubes you have inside of fabric, and I got them all up to the house and covered them in metallic paper and made a pipe organ on top of turned the fireplace into a pipe organ with these metallic tubes, you know. And during the occasion, one of the elderly gentlemen asked when were they going to start the music. And they said, what music? He said, the organ music. When are you going to start the organ music? He thought it was a real pipe organ.
Real, yeah.
You know, there's so many stories, you know, so many wonderful stories that I can look back on. And I ended up in hospital with pneumonia. I was kind of stubborn. I used to do the unconventional, went out in the cold at Christmas time, collected with about 6 nurses with me because I was a bit of a leader, you know. And I took these 6 nurses out in the cold, and we picked these what do you call it? The hedges with the berries, what do you call it? You see, I'm having another senior moment. Picked them, and we went around and decorated each one of the doors of the nurses in the manner. There's 36 nurses in that
That's your
building.
Holly, your Holly.
The Holly. You see, my mind races, so I forget things sometimes. So we went and we put holly garlands on each of the nurses' doors and wished them Merry Christmas, because most of them were away from home. We had a lot of Caribbean nurses there, Jamaica, Barbados, you know, Bahamas, and Scottish and Irish, and you know, and it was wonderful. Yes, alongside my training and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay, getting into, well, you say entrepreneurship. I mean, actually now being in your own business, you know, creating clearly, what you call it, clearly creative, you know, producing all the different items. I know you felt extremely confident because that came like naturally to you. But you were able to, your products stood out. You know, you didn't just, you identified a team and you created products to the team. So share with us, you know, I mean, I know you're creative, huh? But how you came up with certain things and continued with it and being very productive and, you know, and if I must say, it's a business. It is a very successful business right now, you know?
Well, the doll making, it is ironic, but only very recently, like last week, something flashed in front of me. I don't know where it came from, but this memory came from my early days at about 4 years old, you know. And because I was looking at my miniature sculptures, which I am focusing on now, and it just flashed. And I recognized that this thing started way back, because I have a very vivid memory of my mother making bread, and she always gave me a bit of the dough to play with when she needed her bread. And there was a lady who had a parlor on our back street, a lady called Mrs. Brown. And I have very vivid memories of forming a little man, which is not too different from the miniature dolls that I do now, right? And taking it across to Mrs. Brown. And there was a guy who lived with Mrs. Brown. And I said to Mrs. Brown, "Morning, Mrs. Brown. I made cleave for you. I bought cleave." The man's name was Cleve. So I gave Mrs. Brown cleave, this little dough man, you know. And on my way back, I can't remember. I don't think she smiled. I don't think she was upset or anything. And I quickly went back home because I was not supposed to leave our yard, our backyard. And when I got back home, my mom asked me, "Where were you? Where did you go?" And I told her. Of course, I got a good spanking, you know, which was always reserved for when my father got home. So I got a spanking out of that. But that vivid memory flashed in front of me only last week. I don't know where it came out from. However, fast forward to the dolls that I produce. I only produce black dolls. I have never produced dolls with Caucasian color. And this came about because, again, in my nursing, I worked in a unit where there were long stay students from all over the world. And there was this one little girl called Ngozi. She was Nigerian. And it was a research center on Still's disease, which was rheumatoid arthritis in children. And she used to experience a tremendous amount of pain. She was one of 2 Black children in the ward. And at Christmas time, they gave these children, you know, toys, and they brought the dolls for them. And I remember standing and looking at her take up a doll with blonde hair looking at all the other little girls with the dolls with blonde hair. And I could literally read her mind when she looked at this doll, and I saw the look on her face, and I thought, she can't be feeling good about herself. That stayed with me. And I decided that there was a gap that had to be filled. So I started doing dolls, and I started doing black dolls, specifically to fill that void. I did large dolls, and I did a number of different types of dolls. What it has morphed into now is miniature dolls, and I choose to call them soft sculptures because they have skeletons. I animate them, I put them into different positions. At the moment, I am focusing on cricket as a theme, but I do all kinds of other characters. My dolls have been to different parts of the world. My dolls I've been commissioned for Beijing Olympics. I was commissioned to do gifts for the president of the Olympic Association and the president of the Pan American Association. They were at the Hyatt, and I was commissioned to do the gifts for these two gentlemen. I was also commissioned to do the gifts that was taken into Beijing by the Trinidad Olympic contingent to present to dignitaries and, you know, attaches, and as exchange gifts between the athletes, different countries. One of my pieces was presented to the mayor of Beijing, which I feel very proud of. And also on another occasion, my work was taken into India by the West Indies Lawyers Cricket Association. In 2008, there was the first World Cup for lawyers cricketers in India, and they commissioned me to do the gifts that were taken in there, and it was very well received. Although I understand there was a lot of banter and talk about the positioning of my cricketers. Some of them apparently, the positions were a little bit illegal, and who was whoopsing and who wasn't wapsing and all of that, you know. And that one of the pieces was auctioned for to raise funds for a school in India as a charitable gesture from the West Indies lawyers, and they said it raised a good bit of money, and it was very, very well received. All along the line, the soccer warriors who went into Germany, you know, I did miniature cricketers for them. The road show in Tobago before the soccer warriors trip into Germany. A number of things, you know. They have been well received all around. I did a craft show in the UK, and there was a BBC representative at that craft show. I was unaware of that. And I was invited to interview on BBC Radio, highlighting Clearly Creative and my work. And that was done on the birthday of Bob Marley, right? I was told that I could use music, whichever music I chose, I wished. I chose Ella Anderl's Black Woman and Rhythm of a Nation as my background music. And so I can boast that Chunks bowled out Bob Marley on his birthday, right? So that that was major for me, you know, on BBC Radio. So, you know, we have had some experiences, you know. There are so many that I can speak of, but I am thinking that you know, the whole miniature market is untapped. I am thinking that, you know, our creativity in Trinidad is so huge. When we think of the size of Trinidad and Tobago and the amount of creativity that comes out of these two islands, it is just mind-blowing. And we do not harness it in a positive way to affect our young people, and we don't use it in a productive way to allow our young people to express themselves because they are so talented. It just oozes out of their pores. It's not just me, it's all around us. We know that in Trinidad. You have to come really good in Trinidad to make an impact, because like everyone in Trinidad is talented. Everyone in Trinidad is creative. You do amazing things and you take it outside of Trinidad and people are just in awe, and you bring it into Trinidad and they sit and they go, you know, no big thing, you know. We do not appreciate how good we are.
I think, Claire, we have been talking for 45 minutes. And I am really, really curious to know more about your line of dolls. You sent a range of pictures to us, and I would love to know, and I think people would be curious when they see them, to know where can they get them, how can they get them, what drives you to do those dolls and those presentations and things like that. So where is CHOONKS today?
CHOONKS, you can get me through my email at clare.gumbs@gmail.com. That is the major
Communications point.
Communication, yes. We have more recently, I was invited as a group of artisans to exhibit at the Arnim's Art Gallery, where I presented my work along with a group of talented artisans. And these artisans have their work. We all have our work at the Cottage, which is a shop at the Radisson Hotel. And you can access my work there. Okay. But you can get me, and Cottage is Kuttage, right? You can get in touch with me via my email, and then once my Instagram goes up, you know, you'll be able to access my work through that. Yeah. Knowing that my work is handcrafted, not mass-produced at the flick of a switch. And I'm saying that, I will tell you that at the last Cricket World Cup that we had in 1975 in the Caribbean, my work was seen and recommended to the West Indian Cricket Board. I was told that it was by one of our cricket luminaries that it was the best cricket souvenir he had seen, and he did not believe that I had done it. He thought it was made in China. But those pieces are still being produced as part of what I do now in the cricketing line. CHOONKS, as a result of what happened there, CHOONKS went dormant for a while. That's the miniatures. I continue doing other creative pursuits, but the actual miniatures went dormant and only re-emerged last year, October. So they are all like new stuff emerging on the scene. And I'm told that I'm the only person producing miniature cricket figures in the Caribbean. I don't know if it's anywhere else in the world, but I know that I'm told that this is so. I am seeing the potential for it, and there's a lot that has to be developed with that. But as far as the miniatures are concerned, I can produce any character, miniature character, for any occasion. You just have to sit with me, discuss what you want. We get into the details because it is very detailed work. And then I do my thing, you know. Of course, it is totally Trinidadian. You won't find it anywhere else but in Trinidad. So that's the story of chunks. Chunks meaning, the meaning of chunks is mommy nice child according to our local dictionary, right? Chunks is because it started as chunkalungs, but that was too long, right? And you know, Roaring Lion sang about Papa Chunks, right? So we got chunks. So chunks covers everything that is endeared to us as Trinidadians. We're all mommy's nice children, right? So that's chunks.
I'm glad you explained because I love and I remember to me when you say chunks, it's something that you love and you hug up and you kiss
Yes,
up.
yes, yes.
So that's what.
And you pinch the cheeks, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Chunks.
Yes. So it's our mantra in chunks is designed to make you smile. So each piece, when you see it, that is the effect it has on you. It's designed to make you smile.
Great. Great.
That's the idea behind the creativity of chunks.
Nice. We've got about 2 more minutes. So
Now, I was just quickly going to ask Claire,
Mhm.
in terms of your orders, how in terms of size, because it's a small business with you being the creative behind it, would you take an order for about 5 items, or how would you do the private orders like that?
Yes, what my orders I discuss with the client, right? Everything depends on the size of your orders. I have a lead time to produce a certain amount, and we discuss all of that, you know. I always stress to people that it is a handcrafted item. All of that is discussed, you know.
All right.
And if I have large orders, of course, I give the lead time. I have a stock of items that I have run that I have in my possession. So I'm not starting from absolute scratch. Although all my dolls start from a piece of fabric. The only thing on my dolls that are not handcrafted is the helmet of the cricketers that are molded plastic. Everything else I have cut, I have stitched, it's handcrafted. Everything is handcrafted.
Well, we put up, of course, your number and information on the screen so persons can know how to contact you and, you know, have a discussion. And when they see all those lovely things we're going to, lovely pics that we're going to put up, I'm sure you're going to get some calls on that because it's really beautiful. Yeah.
Great.
Well, I want to say
thank you. What were your closing remarks to our listeners, our viewers?
Yes. The creativity of chunks is Caribbean. It reflects Caribbean. It's all Caribbean and specifically Trinidad and Tobago. Specifically Trinidad. Comes from the heart of someone who puts her soul out there to you. So anytime you buy a piece of my work, you're getting a piece of my heart. That's it.
Great.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Great. And this was a great conversation. I think we really have some interesting stories about people who are formed. And I wish you all the best, all the best. This is a beautiful creative endeavor where you're using your own talents to really bring out something that reflects you. And I always salute those efforts. So great congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me.
Jennifer, what do you think of that discussion?
Great. You know, again, Terrian, it just shows that, and I go back saying, to find that joy in life, look at what you like doing now. you may not be an artist. You may just be sitting down and like whatever you like that brings you joy. And Terry, and
Yeah.
I swear, I could be and you know they have fancy words and thing now, fancy I should say words that you can call yourself designations or whatever you want to say. I swear I could be outdoor
A
let's
landscape
say
architect
creative
is the
sort of
word. Landscape
yeah.
architect. It's a landscape architect.
Yeah, that is the word I'm looking for. Sorry again. That is the word I'm looking for.
Mhm.
A landscape architect. When I go out and sit, it could be a very small space. I am always seeing where I can do something, you know? And I know I will love doing it, but I need so much help with me because I can't do nothing. I
Jennifer,
could point and tell
Jennifer,
you what to do.
let me put it this way. You are a landscape architect.
Thank you. I really believe that.
You have one client. It is you. And if and when you choose to grow that business, you will get another client. So for now, you are a landscape
I will need
architect
a
and you have
van
one
driver,
client.
somebody to dig the earth, somebody to.
It doesn't matter how you do it. You do it because
But
you
yeah,
are there.
but you know, I embrace that talent, Terry Ann. I
Yes.
really embrace it.
Yeah.
And it comes, you know, just check yourself, things that you like doing. And in Claire case, I mean, she knew she did art in school. She did very, very good at art. But when she chatted about even, you know, designing a carnival costume, you know, at that time, I'm sure in the earlys when she did art and started to venture into creating other products, that designing a carnival costume wouldn't have been in her head. But when you have that talent, you get the opportunities to do different things.
I think we need to not confuse ourselves with what's going on in the market at this stage. As you do, have a client of one yourself. Do it for your pleasure. Whatever resources you have, put it together and do it. If you could plant, if you're a landscape architect like Jennifer,
Like
and
me?
you could plant 1 tree a week because that's all you can manage, you have a client of one once you are happy. And I think that's the message that these self-formed people are saying to us. Claire is very proud of her handmade dolls, each one of a kind, hand cut. It's not a huge large scale operation, but she's obviously very happy and living her passion. And we're going to explore our passions on the bus ride on Friday. So we will be seeing you all next week with all of our stories. So in the meantime, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
50 Plus Tribe and follow us from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. Thank you for joining us on this Connections 50 Plus 5.8G Alive show. We hope you enjoyed the lively conversation and look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We really love getting your feedback. Bye for now.